In today's episode, one of the most terrifying bear attacks recorded in history. A desperate and malnourished bear breaks into a home in the middle of the night to attack and eat a young man. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. This is the terrifying bear attack on Colin McClelland. Welcome to Final Affliction. In this attack, there were no witnesses, and so the story of the events cannot be fully verified. But based on known behavior of bears and evidence left at the scene of the attack, the following scenario has been presented. It was August 1993, and 24-year-old Colin McClelland headed out from his home in Buena Vista, Colorado. He was a logger by trade and often set up his camping trailer in the forests near his home whilst he carried out his work. He could be gone for days at a time, making a living in the great outdoors. An hour's drive south of Buena Vista lies Cotopaxi and Wah Mountain. This is where Colin was headed this particular summer. It is situated near the Arkansas River Valley and about 35 miles southwest of Cannon City. It was an area that Colin was familiar with, having been logging there before. When he reached the site where he was to begin felling trees, he set up his camping trailer. He loved the outdoors and the freedom that working as a logger gave him. When the weather was hot and sunny, there could be nothing better. But that summer had been particularly dry. Much of Colorado had experienced a drought, which had affected regional wildlife. Rivers and lakes were low, and food availability was scarce. This could have led to the following attack, an attack by a black bear. Colorado is home to a significant population of black bears. The exact number of black bears in Colorado is difficult to determine with precision, as bear populations can fluctuate and are influenced by various factors, such as habitat availability and food sources. However, according to the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, it is estimated that the state has a black bear population of around 19,000 to 20,000 bears. These bears are found throughout Colorado, primarily in forested habitats and mountainous regions, the type of habitat that young Colin set to work in. But this was something he knew. He was aware of the risks of working in bear country, and he took the necessary precautions. He always left his garbage and waste food outside his trailer, and whilst out working in the woods, Colin always carried with him his high-powered rifle. He had come across bears in the area before, and he felt safer with his rifle by his side. It was the only protection he needed. Whilst felling trees, he always kept an eye out, and, apart from the occasional bold bear, most would run away at the sound of his chainsaw or upon seeing him in the distance. Wildlife officials recommend a high-powered firearm or bear spray to deter bears. Less powerful weapons are not recommended and are unlikely to stop a charging bear. Missing a bear or merely injuring it can enrage the bear, leading to a ferocious attack and potential fatalities. There has long been a debate over the preferred bear deterrent, bear spray or firearm. After working in the forest for a few days, Colin was bothered once more by a curious black bear. In fact, this bear had caused trouble before and was known to local wildlife officials. It had broken into nearby trailers, searching and scavenging for food. The recent drought had made matters worse. The berry harvest, a food that black bears rely on, was at an all-time low. Food was scarce. The bear was likely attracted to Colin's trailer and the smell of food and garbage. The following has been assumed from the details presented by investigators and wildlife experts. No one knows for sure exactly what happened to Colin. During the night, Colin was awoken by a noise. It was the sound of crashing outside his trailer. There was a commotion and Colin peered out of the window to see what it was. In the moonlight, he could just make out the outline of a black bear, the same one he had seen previously. It was sniffing around his campsite, turning over his garbage and scouring the area for food. It muzzled his bin bags, tearing them open with its claws. The bear was hungry. Colin watched from the safety of his trailer. He didn't utter a sound, but then to his absolute horror, the bear approached the trailer door. It was a thin door, secured only by a single flimsy latch. Colin reached for his rifle. He always kept it propped up by his bedside. He clutched it in his hands, loaded it, and held it ready, pointing it towards the bear. His heart was thundering in his chest as he heard the growling sound of the bear and the clacking of its jaws as it sniffed the trailer door. It nudged it with its head. The door shook slightly. The latch held out. Colin aimed the rifle at the door. His heart was in his mouth. Any moment now, he was expecting the bear to charge through the door. Any minute now, it would launch itself into his trailer. He held his breath. The bear stood on its hind legs and clawed at the door with its huge front paws. The flimsy latch gave way under the weight of the bear, and Colin fired his first shot. In the darkness, he missed the bear. The sound of the rifle sent the bear running. It fled the scene, but Colin knew it would be back. The bear had scarpered into the surrounding woodland, but as its courage grew, the bear returned moments later. It charged towards the open door of the trailer. Colin fired his rifle again. He shot through the walls of the trailer. This time the bullet struck the bear. Striking the bear on its body, the shot had injured it slightly. The shot wasn't going to stop the bear. It only enraged it. With adrenaline surging through the animal's body, it didn't feel the pain from the bullet. It didn't feel fear. Instead, it came crashing through the trailer door, and before Colin could reload his weapon, the bear was upon him. It pounced on him, its huge frame knocking Colin to the floor in an instant. He would have tried desperately to protect himself, to cover his face, head, and neck, but the animal overpowered him, mauling him, inflicting deep and devastating wounds with its teeth and claws. Investigators who arrived on the scene much later found shots had been fired through the trailer walls from the inside out. They found the door had buckled, and from his injuries, it was concluded that Colin most likely died inside his trailer. But what followed will haunt his friends and family forever. The bear wasn't finished with the young man yet. The initial attack had been sparked by an injured and enraged bear. It likely wasn't deliberately hunting Colin at the time, but it had been searching for food and had been driven to investigate the tantalizing scents coming from inside Colin's trailer. But now, although the bear had neutralized what it saw as a threat, it was still hungry. After retreating into the surrounding woodland for some time, the bear then returned to the trailer once more. Now it was bold and unafraid. Stepping up into Colin's abode, it dragged Colin's body outside to the door, and there it feasted upon Colin's lifeless body. When Colin didn't show up for a court appearance a couple of days later, his friends grew concerned. He was out of contact deep within the wilderness. His friends went searching for him. They knew where he would be. He had been logging in the same region before, and they had visited him there in the past. As they walked up the narrow path that led to Colin's trailer, they made the gruesome discovery. It was a harrowing find for the youngsters, a sad and traumatic end to a young man's life. Willie Travnicek from the Colorado Division of Wildlife was tasked with capturing the bear responsible for Colin's death. He and colleagues set up a barrel trap 50 feet from Colin's camp. Sure enough, the following night, the bear returned to the campsite. This time it was enticed into the trap, and the 250-pound animal was found there the following morning. Willie tranquilized the bear and sent it off to Salida, half an hour northwest of Cotopaxi. When the bear was examined, it was found to have a gunshot wound in its side. From this, and the fact that the bear was in the camp's vicinity, it was concluded that this was the bear that had killed Colin. In light of this evidence, the bear was destroyed. People should take every necessary precaution to protect themselves when camping out in the wilderness. Wild animals like black bears might seem docile, but they're still dangerous predators that should be respected and treated with caution. Colin's story is a tragic reminder of what can happen when we let our guard down. We should always be aware of our surroundings and take steps to ensure our safety, especially when entering the territory of fearsome predators such as bears. Nevertheless, while we can't save the ones we have lost, we can always aspire to protect the ones we haven't. and hopefully spare them the unimaginable horror of witnessing their final affliction.